Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to educate you about the two misconceptions when it comes to the Baker Act. Now, I've talked about these in the past separately, but it seems that we get a lot of calls about these two issues. And as I think I've also spoken about, I have had a family member Baker Acted. It happened just a couple of days after I lost my dad, and I was there when it went down. So my heart really goes out to all of the families who've had a loved one Baker Acted, or if you've had a loved one Baker Acted. I get it. I really understand how this feels. And we've also represented, I think at this point, I think 700 or 800 different families from all over Florida and sometimes outside of the state of Florida who came here hoping for a nice vacation and got sucked into Florida's mental health system, as draconian and broken as it is. But there's two issues that come up over and over again, and we get these calls pretty much daily. The first is, well, I got Baker Acted and I want to sue for this. And the second is, I'd like to expunge the record. So let's talk about the whole idea of suing. As a general rule, you cannot sue for this, and it's in black and white, and it's in the statute. And the reason for this is that the Baker Act is a statute that allows the state of Florida to take, at least initially, temporary custody of somebody because of an allegation of some form of mental illness, which is causing the person to either be a harm to themselves or somebody else. So it's the state, right? Now, most of the time when someone's Baker Acted, they're probably going to be taken to a private for-profit facility. And so you've got a private entity that makes money, that makes profit, that is licensed as an agent of the state's mental health system. That's why they can not only lock you up, but lock the doors and restrain you if you try to leave, if that happens, right? It's a bit like going to the county jail, but as I've opined in the past, I think it's a whole lot worse because nobody actually knows you're there. So as they are a state actor and an agent of the state, that means they have immunity that every state actor typically has. Now, I was a prosecutor back in the early 90s, and as a state prosecutor here in Palm Beach County, I had immunity, which meant if I prosecuted you, you couldn't sue me. Well, I mean, you could file a lawsuit, but it's going to get dismissed as a general rule. Now, obviously, I didn't enjoy the immunity if I went, if I drove drunk in my car and went and killed somebody. That's different. I wasn't acting as a prosecutor, okay? But as a general rule, if you are an agent of the state, you enjoy immunity from being sued. And the Baker Act statute's no different. It's right there in black and white. Now, if you're taken to a facility, the facility has a duty to keep you safe. We've had, we had clients that were sexually assaulted, physically assaulted, those types of things. That's different. That's not a violation of the Baker Act statute. That's a violation of their duty to keep you safe while you're there. And that might be actionable. Now, when I say that as a general you can't sue, I'm talking about under state law. Now, is there potentially a federal civil rights claim, either against the facility or the police? Maybe. And I always tell clients when they call us, I'm not a civil rights attorney, and you probably should call and speak to somebody who does civil rights litigation. But from what I know about those kinds of cases, they're expensive to litigate, they take a long time, and by the time it's all said and done, is the juice really worth the squeeze? I'll leave it up to you to talk to somebody who does civil rights litigation. But as a general rule, and I'm sorry to say this, you're not getting any money out of this. I'm not saying what happened to you was right. What I am telling you though is if you're looking to, make a few dollars off of this, it's not happening. Not under state law anyway. And I wish I could tell you otherwise because I get about 2-3 calls every day about somebody who got wrongfully Baker Acted. And if I could, I'd take those cases because I'd be retired by now if I could take them. So that's number one. As a general rule, you cannot sue. The other issue that comes up is somebody wants to expunge the record. Now, in the criminal arena, depending on the kind of case it was, there is a process for either sealing a record, meaning it's not accessible to the public, and or expunging it, meaning it gets wiped off of the record. It's as if it never happened. And it depends on the case. It depends on whether there's a conviction, all of the other stuff, which I'm not going to go into. But that's in the criminal arena, okay? In the Baker Act world, there is no process for expunging that record, whatever that record might be. Is it a police report? Is it an actual order from a judge of some kind? Is it medical records? Those types of things. There is no process for expunging the record. And I think the reason for that is because there's a presumption that these records are confidential, they're confidential, right? So there's nothing to find. But like any, confidentiality, it's never absolute, which means if you have been Baker Acted or even Marchman Acted, it's possible the state could, initiate a firearm disability, meaning they take away your Second Amendment right. So if the reason you want to expunge the record is because you're looking to get your firearm rights back, there's a process for that. It does not include expunging the record, but it does include petitioning the state to get your Second Amendment reinstated, and we can help you with that. But as a general rule, again, there's no process for expunging the record. I wish I could tell you otherwise, and I appreciate the fact that people feel, that it might affect their future. My heart breaks for you. But those are the two arenas, the two sort of issues with the Baker Act, that there's nothing I can do. I'm sorry. So you cannot sue as a general rule, and you cannot expunge. So with that said, if you have any comments or questions, please post them. I read all of them. Typically respond within about 24 hours and sometimes a whole lot quicker. If you like this content, thumbs up really helps me. If you want more of this content, which I put out every day for free, please subscribe to the channel. And with that said, thank you for tuning in. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.